Welcome to Cardinal Perspectives, a series featuring in-depth conversations with alumni, students, faculty, staff, and the extended family and community of the Catholic University of America. My name is James Higgins, Assistant Director of Leadership Annual Giving for Athletics at the Catholic University. I am pleased to introduce this episode of Cardinal Perspectives featuring Scott Amey, class of 1969, and Kevin Robinson, Vice President for Athletics and Recreation. Scott Amey is a proud Catholic University alumnus and former Cardinal football player. After a distinguished career building and leading successful federal contracting companies, Scott reconnected with his alma mater in a meaningful way. He and his wife, Debbie, have stepped forward with a generous commitment to the Mulholland Locker Room Project, helping to strengthen the student-athlete experience for the next generation of Cardinal football players. Scott sits down with us to reflect on his time at Catholic University, his career journey, and what inspired him to reinvest in the program that helped shape him. Enjoy the episode.
Catholic University community, what's going on? We're so blessed today to have Scott Amey, class of 1969 with us, former Catholic University football player. Scott, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's just dive right in and get started. How did you get to Catholic University in 1965?
Well, let me take you back. Yeah, it was the summer of 65. I had just graduated from high school, and I had been fortunate enough to win a Maryland State scholarship. Wow. So I could go to any of the schools in Maryland and the state schools.
Okay.
And so I had selected, I'm going to go to College Park. So about that time, I learned that I had also been offered a scholarship called the War Memorial Scholarship to Catholic University.
Wow.
And this was given to a descendant of a soldier who had lost their life while serving.
Okay.
And my granddad, as it turns out, had lost his life in World War I at the age of 23.
Oh, my gosh.
And so that made me a candidate for the scholarship. And when I was offered it, I jumped at it. I said, this is good, and I'm so glad that I did, and so thankful to the donors of whoever made this scholarship possible.
Well, that's awesome. Now, football didn't play into any effect into that. It was simply, your grandfather gave his life for our country, and it resulted in a scholarship to college. That's an incredible story. So, but football was never in play here.
I didn't even know that the Catholic University had a football program, and it wasn't until the first weeks that I was there that I found out that Catholic University was football was coming back at the university for the first time in 16 or 17 years. They were gonna have it. So I decided to try out for the team, and I was able to make it.
Well, talk me through that football experience, because at that time the stadium was in the middle of campus. Big dirt bowl. I think they played baseball, track, everything on that field. So talk me through that football experience. What were the coaches like? What were your teammates like? What was that overall experience playing Catholic University football?
Well, you mentioned something there that's important to me. That first, let me say, in 1965, we only had one game. It was their homecoming game, and it was at the that bowl that they had, and that's behind McMahon Hall. I think it's now where the Prisbilla, is that how you pronounce it?
Prisbilla Center.
Prisbilla Center
was
there.
Columbus School of Law is out there now.
And it was a wonderful setting for football, and the campus and the alumni were so excited about the fact of football returning. They had football at the homecoming, not soccer.
Wow.
And so we had about 3,000 attendees at that particular game. So it was a lot of fun.
I don't mean to interrupt, but how incredible was that to have 3,000 people for the only game that year? What was that? What was that like? What was that experience?
It was
like?
exciting. It was exciting. I'll share you a quick story. I was the starting safety on the team, even as a freshman. But about a week before the game started, the coach said, "Can you kick off for me?" And I'd never done that in my life. So I was so nervous about being the guy to kick off. And fortunately, I got the thing down to about the 5-yard line. So I was pleased with that and breathed a sigh of relief.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So.
Awesome. Well, how were the coaches? How were those teammates? What were some of those memories, some of those core memories beyond that first game as you got into your sophomore, junior, senior year? Any core memories from that time there?
Yeah, I've got, maybe I'll try 3 out on you,
okay,
Kevin, if that's okay with you. Well, actually, the first memory was that first game. The second memory is my sophomore year. And so now I am playing both ways. The guy was the quarterback the previous year, who, by the way, had quarterbacked at Harvard before that.
Okay.
So he had graduated, and they're looking for a quarterback, and the coach tapped me, so I got a chance to be the quarterback.
So from kicker to safety to quarterback, I mean,
Right.
you're playing all the positions.
Well, I was playing, and I still played safety, so I didn't come off the field that often that year. And the first snap from the line of scrimmage of that game, I threw a pass that went for 70 yards to a gentleman by the name of Vic Capice, who's in the Catholic University Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, it was called back because of a penalty. But later in the game, I was able to throw a touchdown pass to a gentleman by the name of Mike Stefanik.
Okay.
And it was the first touchdown that Catholic University had scored since the 1940s. So that was kind of cool.
What an experience! And you always have that in your bag. You'd be like, "Hey, I threw the first touchdown when football came back," and you know that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. The third one I think it actually was kind of a funny memory, and that is in my junior year, another Catholic University Hall of Famer, Athletic Hall of Famer, David Murphy, came out for the team, and David was an exceptional athlete. So he was the quarterback. I'm now back at safety. But what the coach would like to do is every once in a while, and he did this once or twice a game, he would insert me as a halfback. And Dave Murphy would take the snap, lateral it to me. I'd make like I'm going to do a run around the right side, and I'd stop, and usually we would get a first down on the play. So after a few times we'd done that, after a few games, coach comes up to me just before one of the games and says, "Scott, I want you to wear a different jersey with a different name so that if they've scouted us, they won't know that as soon as you come in, we're going to be throwing a halfback pass." So here I am with my different name, different number. Dave laterals me the ball, and this time it goes for a touchdown. And in fact, if I remember right, it was the winning touchdown.
That's awesome.
Well, the funny part about all this is that my father had come to the game with one of his buddies, and they spent almost the entire game trying to figure out where was I. He had no idea that it was me that threw that halfback pass for a touchdown. So I think that's kind of a
That is an awesome story. We can't get away with that now, but like that is an incredible story.
That's true.
Oh,
That's true.
You I mean, from throwing the first touchdown back to throwing the halfback pass with a different jersey on. I mean, what incredible memories. Now, to go along with those incredible memories, what were some of those memories that you had off the field? Like what were those memories? And I think there's one in there about a certain bar on campus that you might have had some influence on.
This could be the only thing people remember about me at Catholic University. So in my senior year, actually the summer of before my senior year, I led a group of students who with the permission of the administration, with the permission of the Catholic University president, we established a ratskeller on campus, which I think there'll be a lot of alumni out there that might possibly have a link to on that. And so I got some architectural students to design a German-style ratskeller. They did a beautiful job with that. We talked Marriott, who was the food service provider at Catholic University at the time. We talked them into actually building the ratskeller for free.
Wow.
And we even got, with our alumni president's help, Mr. Ed McMahon, we got Budweiser to put in a 6-tap, 30-keg beer system, bar there, and we became the number 2 Budweiser account in the city that year, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. And I do remember Mr. McMahon also coming out. I remember the first day that the ratskeller opened was October 10th of 1968.
Well, we just celebrated like almost 50 years.
Well,
I mean, more, 57
yeah.
years.
Well, is this October 10th today? Yeah, it is.
It is.
So,
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's I can't figure it out that fast what anniversary it is. But so X number of years ago, Ed McMahon purchased the first round of drinks for almost 500 of us in the ratskeller. And I still have a picture of that today. So, it was a great time.
Well, can we educate who Ed McMahon is for some some of our younger listeners, our younger CUA alums?
Yeah, well, hopefully people will know who Johnny Carson is. Johnny Carson was one of the first or second people that was on the Tonight Show, and Ed McMahon was Johnny's what do you call it, sidekick.
Yes.
He was the sidekick. And one of the things that Ed did was after Johnny started his monologue and he finished up with it, Ed McMahon would come along with a Budweiser commercial. So he had a lot of pull with the Budweiser folks, and that's how he helped us get that.
I still can't get over the Rathskeller was the second biggest account for Budweiser in the city. But what an entrepreneurial spirit that you had to, and I think that speaks to the Catholic University alums and the type of students that we've had and throughout our history to have this foresight, to have this thinking, and to go out and get creative on how we're going to get it paid for and make it happen. And the Rathskeller existed until the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, I think it was into the '80s. I think they finally, when they changed the drinking age back to 21, that's when they said, well, but it's kind of neat that even today there's Murphy's is on campus at the
Prisbella Center.
Prisbella Center.
Yeah.
And that's a kind of a tribute to the original Rathskeller. So it kind of lives on in its own way.
Yeah, here we are almost 60 years later, and what you and Ed McMahon started that long ago, it's still alive and around, and our students are taking advantage of it. So that's incredible. Now, you had a very memorable experience at Catholic, it seems like, and you did a lot of different things, a lot of great memories. What was life like after Catholic? How did you take that Catholic education and turn that into the successful business person that you are today?
Okay, well, let me start with my first job, and I will say that during my senior year, I was a math major, and during my senior year, I wanted to get exposed to computer science, and Catholic University didn't have a computer science major at the time, but they did offer a class in computer science. So I took it, and I like to say that my combination of math and a little bit of computer science got me my first job at Vitro Laboratories. And I was able to work on a project for the U.S. Navy, Polaris submarine project that was led by a brilliant engineer, and got elbow-to-elbow training on how to design, code, and test software, and it was terrific. It was a good exposure.
This is in the early 70s, like mid 70s?
This is, 69, yep. 70, 71, 72.
I mean, just as computer science is starting to, just to grow and kind of in popularity and that kind of thing. So you're at the cutting edge of that as well.
Right.
How cool of an experience was that?
It was great. And I will jump ahead for the next one because I like to talk about that too. I moved to another company called Singer Link, and we developed one of the very first nuclear power plant simulators. And what that's used for is to train nuclear power plant operators. And I again worked for a brilliant nuclear engineer this time, and he would tell me all the mathematical equations that we had to do to simulate what would happen with this or that, and I'd do the programming, and it was another exciting experience. So really learned my lesson to others is if you got an opportunity to have mentors like those two guys, I mean, get everything out of them you possibly can.
Incredible. I mean, on the cutting edge of computers, on the cutting edge of nuclear power. Now, how did you take those lessons and take those experiences and turn it into the business that you have finally created? It looks. I feel like there was some risks that you took, some leaps of faith that you took to create your technology business eventually.
I'd be happy to respond to that. So after those first two, I was able to move into management a little more, and I started off as a project manager and then became a division director and then became a vice president. And then I finally, with a partner, decided that we wanted to go out and do our own thing. So we were developing our business plan, which consists of things like, well, what services are we going to offer? Who's going to be our customers? Who's our competition? What's going to make us different from the competition? How much money is this going to cost? And we were getting that all wrapped up when our current employers found out about it. And so the president of the current employer came to me and said, all right, we've learned about this, Scott. we're going to offer you an opportunity to be a vice president here, but there's a catch. You got to abandon this idea of you and your partner here, starting your new company. So that night I spoke with my partner. We mulled it over a little bit, and we took a deep breath. We declined the offers that they gave us, and we started out on our own. And
what a risk.
Yeah.
But what confidence you had in yourself, like in the belief that you and your partner had in the product that you had developed, the thoughts, the ideas that you had. I mean, how was that, that feeling walking in the next day being like, hey, we're going to decline this?
Well, that was tough. It was tough. And my wife did say to me, are you sure?
Right.
But we did it. And that was the first hard thing I had to do. And then the second hard thing for anybody who's an entrepreneur is getting those first few contracts. And so what we did was we first got ourselves some consulting gigs so that during the daytime, we were just working for somebody else really as consultants to pay the bills.
Right.
And during the nighttime, we were developing proposals to get new work. And after a while, we started to win some of those opportunities, and it snowballed. We then made a point that every time we got a contract, we would make sure that we exceeded the expectations of our client. Also, we made sure that when we got employees, that we gave them great benefits, great salaries, recognized what they did, and we kept those two tenets, and we began to grow. And 11 years later, we had 1,700 employees, and we were doing about $340 million a year in business with the federal government, with agencies like the U.S. Air Force, NASA, Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, and I'm gonna forget somebody, National Weather Service. I really loved doing that.
Well, I love what you said there, though, about taking care of your employees and giving great customer satisfaction, and taking care of your customers. How did you maintain that through rapid growth over 11 years, going from two highly intelligent people with great ideas to a company of 1,700, and really keeping your core tenants there? Like, that's really hard. Some companies, they grow, they start putting the dollar above, emotions and behaviors and those type of things, and care, and so how do you maintain that care?
Well, I mean, I guess maybe I could go back to the athletic side of the fence, and that's, you make sure that when you're bringing on people, you bring on people who you think can really grow, and then you coach them up.
Right.
You coach them up. You take the time to make sure that they understand where the priorities are. They're bright people. They're going to pick it up, and in many cases, they were better at me at what they did. But that's what you did. You focus on that, and it works. And I'm very proud of the people that we brought on board that have gone on to run their own companies, after they left us.
Well, I think that's a key part there, Scott. Like, most people are going to have the technical skills when you hire them, but it's the behavior skills. It's those hard to quantify skills of empathy, compassion, care, work ethic, like that resilience, that, if you can recognize that in potential employees and bring them on board and build on those core beliefs, I think that's really important. Like, are those some of the things that you look for out of your employees?
Absolutely. And when we set up our goals, we always talked about customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, employee growth. Our third one was giving back to the communities we worked for, and you never heard the word and make a lot of money. We figured that if we did those first 2-3 things, the money's going to come.
Right. And it did, and the success came, but you did it the right way. So that's awesome. Now, how do you take those things that you learned through your journey in the business world and in life, and what advice would you give to our CUA students, our young alum professionals just getting started in the workplace?
Okay, I've got a bunch of them.
Okay, all right, let's go. Hit it.
Okay. I recently gave a speech to the School of Engineering of George Washington University, so I'm going to steal from a few things I said there. So number one is, while you're a student, look for opportunities to get internships in your field. Okay, take advantage. I'm sure Catholic University has a great career center, and they'll help you get exposed to internships, do it. And don't worry about how much money you're making on it. What's important is the experience you're getting, the experience doing something that's in your field, the experience of working on a team usually, the experience of working for a supervisor. All those things are important. As you know, in my career, I've been a hiring manager a number of times. So here's my little point I'm going to make. If I'm looking at two students and one of them had a 3.5 GPA, but they don't have any experience, okay, and the other student has a 3.0, not as good, but they've got experience working in internships or wherever, and they're doing the type of stuff that, you know, I'm looking for, I'm going to pick the student with the experience. So that's just you know, why you want to do that. Number two is try to get yourself involved in more than just the classroom. I mean, probably that's not too hard. A lot of people, you know, they like to do, but get involved in other things, whether it's student government or athletics or, I don't know, you know, different groups, community groups, whatever. Get involved in those things. Make yourself well-rounded. And you find out that that's probably the things you're going to remember the most about what you did when you went to school. Thirdly, when you're about ready to go get that first job, or even when you're trying to get the internship, okay, and now you're applying for it, don't just take your standard resume and send it in. Take the time to read the job description that you're applying for, and then take the time to tailor your resume so that you're addressing the things that they're looking for, okay? Now, don't lie. If you don't have the experience, don't lie and just move on to the next opportunity. But if you've got that experience, make sure it jumps off the page so that the person reading your resume is going to say, I got to bring that person in for an interview, okay?
Right.
So I'll leave it at that for some ideas.
You know, and that is fantastic. I think those are some key aspects in the hiring process and how you do it. I think, what are some of the things that you would and advice you would give to people when they get a job, like those first 6 months, first 9 months? What should that be like? Like how should they be acting? What are some of those key things that they can do to stand out in those first 6 to 9 months?
Well, I think number one, learn what it is that your company's objectives are. And don't be afraid to ask. You know, the number one person is your interface with your manager, your direct manager, and ask them. Don't be afraid to ask them. Say, what can I do to improve my performance? What can I do? Just try to be a team player and find out what else can be done. That's one way to do it. Volunteer. If you have a chance to maybe help out with writing proposals or reviewing proposals while you're still doing your day job, then do that as well.
No, that's awesome. And then one thing I would like to ask: how do you advise someone on handling setbacks? How to show that resilience, in handling some. Maybe you don't land that promotion or you don't get that job that you wanted. Like, how do you handle that? How do you show resilience in those times?
Yeah, well, I've had that a couple of times. I'll give you a story on that one too, Kevin, and this isn't in my text.
Oh, no,
my prepared
that'd be
text.
great.
Okay, so there was a time when I really wanted, back when I was working all those great jobs and everything like that, and I wanted to get into management, and you know, it's funny, they were letting me be the one who ran the company softball team. They let me run the ski trip, whatever, but they didn't let me run a project. So I went out and I found another opportunity, okay? And it was to run something that was about an 8-person job. And the only problem was I only got like a $1,000 raise over what I was making. So I went back to the senior executive of the company and said, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to leave, and because I was looking for an opportunity to become a project manager. And it just so happened that particular day, they had won a brand new project. He says, well, how does this sound? And he told me about something, and it was, again, for the Navy. He says, how's this sound? How about we have you running this project? I said, that sounds pretty good. And he says, well, what about, compensation? What are these other guys offering you? And I just said, well, maybe it's just a little bit more, or it's just more than what you guys are. And so he says, well, how about $8,000 raise? And I said, that'll do it.
Yes.
So sometimes you got to kind of advocate a little bit for yourself. But if you ever do, make sure it's one-on-one with the senior person, not in front of a group. So that's my advice.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, pivoting a little bit, you and I worked together on with our colleague Neil Donahue on a big project for our football program, something that's near and dear to your heart. And so, wanted to just ask, what motivated you and Deb to get involved in the philanthropic giving towards our new locker room project, which we see right here?
Yeah.
What was that motivation about?
Well, I mean, I don't. It's funny. I probably wanted to do something for Catholic University for many, many years, and I finally, a couple of years ago, I decided to give a general gift to the football team, and it was actually you and Neil. They brought me in, and you guys told me. In fact, my wife Debbie and you brought us both in, and you guys told me about this locker room project, and. I think it was you that said, the locker room was something, and you gave me a tour of it, and you suggested that we really need to improve this thing in order to get some more and better recruits to come in, and we said, let's do it. Let's Debbie and I, totally embrace that, and so we have a experience with philanthropy before, and I have noticed that. When you do a match, it's very effective. So I suggested that I would come up. We were going to donate $100,000, $25,000 for 4 years straight as a match, and we would match other donors. And I'm hoping, by the way, hopefully Mike Stefanik, you can hear this. I'm hopefully that some others will join us in the matching part, so that because donors are more likely to dig a little deeper into their pocket if they think that every dollar that they're given is going to be matched to go to the benefit the locker room, and that's what we have pledged to do.
Well, and we can't thank you enough for that pledge, and we appreciate that. I appreciate you calling out a couple of your teammates and say about the match, and you're right. I think knowing that we have someone like yourself and Deb who are putting that generous gift out there and saying, hey, look, like we're willing to take that step and help the football program. Get a locker room where, look, the DeFore Center is celebrating its 40th year this year, and that locker room is the same locker room that was in place in 1985.
Right.
And so you recognize the need for those 110 student athletes, and we really appreciate that you having that spirit of generosity to do that, and to challenge your teammates, challenge some of our other alums to step up and help us get this project off the ground. So thank you. Scott, as you know, our football locker room project is going to be named after Brigadier General Sean Mulholland, class of 1982. He's 7th Special Forces, Green Beret, the whole nine. He was really well respected in the armed forces and did a lot in his career. Now, how does it feel to be the lead donor on this project after being also the lead of Catholic football coming back in 1965?
Well, first of all, Kevin, let me say that I think that naming the locker room after the Brigadier General is just great. As far as how's it feel, well, I mean, I feel honored too. I feel like maybe it's something I've been wanting to do, something like this for a long time, and I'd like to challenge not only my teammates back there in the late '60s, but other generations of alumni and football players and people who went to the football games to chip in and help out, I think, this worthwhile effort.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways they can chip in, to making to help meet the match that you set forth, you and Deb have set forth. But also, we're going to be doing locker. You can name a locker through this project. So even a $5,000 donation where you can put your name on the locker, and every student athlete that comes through after that is going to be able to see your name on that locker and feel a connection to our alumni is going to be something special. So we're really looking forward to seeing how this project continues to blossom. How do you envision this project changing the football program? How do you see it kind of elevating it to that next level?
Well, I think the student athletes are going to spend a lot of time in that locker room, and if you're coming into something that's attractive, clean, fun, it's going to lift the morale of the team. And I think again, also if it also helps you recruit, have more recruits say, hey, I want to go there. The quality of the football program is going to get better, and then the students are going to enjoy coming to the football game. The alumni hopefully will come back on many occasions to come to. Alumni like to come to football games, especially ones where our team wins.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm hoping that this is step one in making that happen.
Well, and I appreciate you recognize how this can galvanize a program. That's a big piece, because for everything you just said about the team camaraderie, about the recruitment, about the snowball effect a facility can have in the success of a program is huge. Because we see this at a lot of places when the alumni show support and they show that generosity, it creates pride within the student athletes who are utilizing that facility. That's going to emanate out from that and grow to other alumni and so on and so forth. So we really appreciate you and Deb stepping up in that way. Now, what do you see as what would you like to see from the Catholic University football program over the next 5 to 10 years as a result of this project?
Let me say first, I'll follow your leadership as to what you guys want. I mean, but if you ask me personally, okay,
Yep.
I would like. I recently moved to the Richmond area and had an opportunity to visit the University of Richmond's football stadium, and I really was impressed by it. It was just a nice experience to walk in there. They've got a nice entrance to it. It's got places where you can have food and all that kind of. I mean, I think maybe that's a bridge too far to go, but I think that we can go towards that. I can see maybe get one of those architectural people back in the 60s. No, I'm just kidding. Get some 2025 architectural students to design an improved football stadium, and who knows, maybe we can get the alumni and other donors friends of the university to pitch in and make that happen. And then the whole experience is better.
No, 100%. And I think the football locker room, which you, again, have so generously given to, is the first step to that. Because if we can look out this window right here,
Yep.
and we can see, and I envision this every day, like looking for it to have a new set of stands, nice brick environment,
Right.
An additional 3,000 seats, but behind that we have locker rooms, concessions, restrooms, and a true entranceway to our football stadium that can put us on par with not only any Division III program, but some Division I programs such as Richmond. So that we have to dream like that, and I appreciate you dreaming with me to try to make that happen, because we have to set the standard for Catholic University athletics, and the football locker room, which we see right here, is a great starting point, and it's going to be a huge advantage for us in the recruiting process and in building team camaraderie. But the next step is to put a more beautiful stands, a building that shows our commitment to not only the football program, but to Catholic athletics. That's going to come from alumni, parents, and some of our key donors out there. So I appreciate you saying that.
You're welcome. I will say one more thing, Kevin, and that is you want to make sure, but now I want to first state that I don't know the whole coaching staff. I've only really met Mike, Coach Gut, is that what?
Coach Gut.
Gut. Okay, I am so impressed by him. He's a great coach, and his battle with his challenge that hopefully people understand. He had a challenge of cancer, and he's battled it and succeeded. I think he's fantastic. But there is another place where we can help, is we can make sure that Coach and his staff are adequately, subsidized, compensated, right, so that he can get a top staff, and these are the guys that can coach up those players that are going to come.
No, and that again, I appreciate your vision for the Catholic University football program, because that is very much in line for how we see it. Can we improve Cardinal Stadium? Yes, I think that is a great place for facilities-wise. But going back to what you were talking about with how you were so successful in your career path and starting your business, you got to take care of your people.
Right.
Your people have to be taken care of. They have to feel valued. They have to feel that the organization is looking after their best interests. And sometimes it's through the compensation piece that we need to do that. And also, can we get the appropriate number of people in the program? Football is 110 to 120 student athletes. Right now, we have one full-time head coach and four full-time assistants, as well as a graduate assistant. But how do we maybe add another person into there, move up their compensation levels so that we can continue to attract the high-level football coaches? So, again, you're spot on because you're thinking the same way as I am in terms of how we can continue to make Catholic University football the program that we're all proud of, but keep increasing that pride, keep getting more and more people back into the fold. So I really appreciate everything you and Deb have done to help elevate our football program, especially with this locker room project, but also the foresight to see, hey, this is just the start, and now we can continue to do this, but we need help from others. So you and I, we can go out there on our grassroots campaign and keep bringing more and more people into the fold. Does that work with you?
That works for me.
Well, your match is your $100,000 match to the football locker room project is a great start, and then we'll keep building on that. So for all you Catholic University football alums, parents, donors out there, let's follow in Scott Amey's and his wife Deb's footsteps, and help us meet that match and help us get this football project off the ground. Scott, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Any last words for our Catholic faithful?
Go Cards. How
Go
about that?
Cards. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.